Just on the money, I think that the money is striking. That we know that the money's been there in the past. I don't buy the PR thing either. I think the PR thing only works if you actually get the footballer at the end. And so if it's out there that you wanted a footballer, you didn't get him, it actually in the end reflects badly.
Yeah.
I'm struck on firstly what he might cost, but also that Liverpool would be prepared to put it down. I expect Liverpool to spend a fair bit of money. What I do think is the case, though, is there may well be a couple of ramifications elsewhere if Wirtz does happen. I think it kicks on. It certainly would remove... Liverpool aren't going to do whatever it is for Wirtz and then do whatever it is for Isak. Yeah. If Newcastle don't qualify for the Champions League, I expect Newcastle to qualify for the Champions League. I don't think Isak's going anywhere. But I think there is a thing here, isn't there, where if they do Wirtz, I think it knocks out realistically the idea they do Rodrigo. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah, and this is like I think I've made a couple of mistakes on shows so far, sort of saying that if it's Wirtz, then I think it's probably Ekitike. I didn't realise how expensive Ekitike was, to be honest. Yeah. I thought he was sort of like Liverpool's low budget, high risk option almost, but maybe there's somebody else who sort of comes into the picture there who Liverpool see as being higher risk, almost like the sort of the Jarell Hato signing compared to the Dean Howson signing. Like Hato is who I expect Liverpool to go for in defence now, having missed out on Dean Howson, and that again represents high risk but sort of low budget and I guess low in terms of that sort of transfer fee that they go for him. So like I would expect that if Liverpool do sign Wirtz, he becomes a bit of a 10 for them and a bit of a false 9 for them, and Liverpool can sort of go horses for course with that. It's really interesting that all this comes around at the time that Dominic Szoboszlai plays it's probably not his first game at number 8 for Liverpool, but definitely what I can remember is like his first start. It's like, oh no, he's actually just the number 8 in this game, and Harvey Elliott's the number 10, and Gravenberch is the 6 as he sort of always is. I think it's really stark that that's come around at the same time as the Wirtz thing, if I'm sort of doing the almost the chinny reckon conspiracy theorist around it.
Yeah, I think they're going to do, genuinely, I think if you take Wirtz out the picture, I expect them to do possibly 2 forwards, depending on if Jota or Diaz move on alongside Nunez. I'd be
very surprised and upset if Diaz moves on, by the way.
I don't want Diaz to move on, which is a flip from last summer. I think he's important 100%. Now. I also think that if you get into a situation where your 4th best attacker is Diaz, my God, you're in great nick. Yeah. If you see what I mean, and he'd get as much games as any of the other 3. Well, maybe not if Salah's there, but 2 of the other 3. Yeah. And if you sort of had Diaz as the 4th in that list, I think you're in great shape. I think if Jota goes along with Nunez, there's a chance they do too. I've thought all the way through they will buy a midfielder. It will be the best one they can get, and Wirtz falls into that category, but because he will be so expensive, it makes me think that even if Jota did go, for instance, and Nunez, they might only still do therefore 1 forward, and Wirtz plays a couple of roles. I think there's every chance he does loads of false 9 if he comes in and plays for Liverpool, and Szoboszlai's in there as well. The tactical ramifications are quite significant. I think it will possibly mean, I take your point on centre-back, but I wonder if they just do a bit of what we hold on centre-back for a year, do the 2 full-backs, stick with the 4 that they've got, and sort of have the attitude of, no, we've sorted this other bit of the pitch out and we'll worry about centre-back next summer, is what I think might happen in terms of Liverpool's investment in there, because I don't see them buying a compromised position in any. I think they're going to just go and get the best one that they can, but rather than therefore get 2 of the best ones that they can, they might just end up only getting 1, if you see what I mean, in attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and it's where I guess Liverpool always sort of live and die by the sword, don't they? And that in a way is to be respected. I would definitely be worried if that means that 2 summers in a row they've missed out on the top centre-back target, being Lenny Yoro last summer and Dean Howson this summer, and they still think that's fine. They've targeted two different centre-halves, both at a sort of 50 million price point, and gone, yeah, it's fine that we've not signed them, and Konate's into last year of his deal, and Kwanzaa's had a down year, and Joe Gomez is injured again. Like that would genuinely really concern me, and there's loads that excites me this summer. Like, I'm trying not to get too bogged down in concerns about any of it. I don't want Liverpool to go into this summer with those 4 centre halves. I think Kwanzaa has been sort of overexposed in like a not in an overexposing kind of way this season. I think more just overexposed by like a what needs to be a year of development for him, and probably more sort of progressive development. He's just been more of a position of need. Like, he's had to come in at times of need for Liverpool, and I think that's only increased the pressure on him, meant that he's been the sort of man at the scene of the crime more often than not, and it does concern me for Kwanzaa's development if he's going to continually be effectively the 3rd choice option, because I still think even if Joe Gomez was fit, Kwanzaa is basically your 3rd option at centre half there, because you're going to need Joe Gomez to do some bits of the other things. So I really want Liverpool to go and sign a centre half this summer. On the sort of forward thing, I agree. I think you could see
Which
him doing.
Which side? The centre half? Because I think it's really hard to imagine them buying someone who could only play left.
Yeah. I sort of wonder how much that matters in the grand scheme of things, and that's where again, like, and I know people hate it, like I wonder if they can just sort of almost cheat with Kwanzaa a bit, because I think Kwanzaa can do left. I actually think his Brighton performance is one of his best performances.
Yeah, no, I think Kwanzaa can do left, but the point being is that they can't buy someone, I think, who only does left. This is my point here. So you said about Hato, but Hato's left-footed.
Yeah.
He does stuff at left-back as well. There's been a Branthwaite link. I'd be hugely interested in Branthwaite, but you can't do Branthwaite this summer, I don't think, because you can't give him the games. And there's no point buying a young player and then saying, a young centre-back who's getting games, and then saying, no games for you, if you see what I mean, because you've given, again, not dissimilar to in the attack, you've given Salah all the money, you've given Van Dijk all the money, you've given him all the money because you think he's playing, if you see what I mean. The money goes on the pitch. That's the way Liverpool operate.
Yeah, that's fair, and I guess it's where Liverpool will probably, and I know people hate the word as well, but like we'll probably lean into that sort of opportunism even more, is like, does the opportunity of Hato, and when they sit down and have negotiations with him, if they say to him, listen, we've got you a couple of Champions League games in there, you'll be playing every single League Cup game, there'll be a couple of FA Cup games in the early rounds there for you, does he just sort of deal on that? I'd be really interested to see. I mean, he's starting for Ajax, isn't he? And Ajax have, I know, just missed out on the league title, but they are still a title challenger in the Dutch league, so it'd be sort of almost churlish of me to say, well, he'll definitely drop that to come to what is effectively less game time at Liverpool, possibly better for his development in some senses, but arguably worse in the sort of game time sense. I think that the opportunism around the forwards will be interesting. I was going to say then about like the Wirtz sort of false nine thing is...
Yeah, Tim Sinclair said in the comments, does Wirtz equal 4-2-4-0? Almost what we saw at times at Man City, where he could play two wide lads, and it'll be Szoboszlai and Wirtz who are sort of between them, looking after that space. I think there's every chance of that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
If he comes, obviously, because I think it's an if.